Forget all the preseason expectations. Forget everything that you thought about this team before. There is only one goal remaining that the Orlando Magic must achieve today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 17th, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, there is only one goal we have to talk about for the rest of the season, for the next 29 games. Our obsession and our measure of success is about one thing: why it's okay to change expectations in the face of what's left this season. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our everydayers. That means you're one of our Orlando Magic dailies. That means you are listening 5 days a week. That means you're listening when we do our weekend episodes. That means you are making us part of your regular podcast rotation, making us your first listen of the day, part of our everydayer club. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, making us such a great and growing community. And thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I am not sugarcoating anything. Let me make that 100% clear. I'm not sitting here telling you to be satisfied with where the Magic season is at. We are going to do a full autopsy of this season. We're going to do a full examination. We're going to come to the conclusion that, yes, the Magic did not meet expectations. And this season ended up being very much like last season, this sort of gap year. And it's, again, it's a fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you type thing. Injuries happen. Even great teams have injury-filled seasons that lead them to finish lower in the standings than they expected. And then we see what happens in the playoffs. And maybe that is what we will learn over these last 29 games about this Magic team. But let's be clear about this too. The Magic were expected to contend for a championship, or at least be pointing toward contending to a championship. And because of injuries, because of 20,000 other things, the Magic are not going to do that. Get out of the first round? Sure, that would be great. And maybe we'll still learn the things we want to learn and learn, okay, this is what this team needs. But at the end of the day, here we are 53 games into the season. And the Magic are virtually in the same spot they were in last year, dealing with tons of injuries to their star players, unable to sustain and carry momentum forward, to remain competitive, and now trying to do the only thing that's left to do, the only thing that's left to achieve this season, as small as it is, and that is to avoid the play-in. We will look back at this season and say, maybe not a failure. I think failure is too far. But a season that raises enough major questions, whether it's about coaching, whether it's about players, whether it's about the bench, whether it's about whatever, enough major questions that the Magic will need, if the Magic don't address them directly, head on, do not make, I don't want to say significant changes, because I don't know if that's the case. But the Magic are banking on their young players, on Paolo, on Franz, on Dez, on Jalen, on AB, that if the Magic don't see significant gains from them, then we got to question the whole project. Those are off-season concerns. I'm not ignoring them. I'm leading this episode by telling you directly, this season has not gone to plan. Fans, players, everyone should be frustrated that this team, which has built itself on its defense, yes, missing Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner for long stretches of the season, has not been able to defend at the high level that we are accustomed to, that we expected. That this team, 53 games of the season, doesn't have a consistent identity. We don't have that thing that we can count on. All of that is absolutely important, and we got 53 games of data to tell us that this team doesn't have it. Whatever it is, they don't have it. And so I'm not here to sugarcoat or tell you that this season is somehow a success. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is we got 29 games left. And while there is this feeling that it feels like a lame duck season, there's questions about the coaching, whether that's legitimate or not. I do think that is something that needs to be examined. We haven't seen this team fully healthy, but Paolo Banchero has been back since December, and he, while his numbers have rebounded, he doesn't look quite right. Franz Wagner just returned from injury. Jalen Suggs has been back, and he's been up and down. Some very good, some okay. And so we don't have a grasp of this team. So for the next 29 games, it can't be viewed as a lame duck. The players can't be like, oh, we're safe, we'll just try again next year. There's still something to achieve. And so the only way I am going to measure these last 29 games, we have this all-star break. It's a nice chance to take a breath. I'm sleeping in now. I'm going to bed earlier. That'll change when we go on the West Coast. We have 29 games left. They do mean something. Players are playing for their spot on this team. Maybe not Paolo, maybe not Franz, but they're always playing against legacy. Probably not Desmond, probably not Jalen. AB's playing for a contract. Wendell Carter might be playing for his spot on this team. Everyone on the bench should be feeling a little pressure. The future of this Orlando Magic team is going to be determined by the next 29 games. Whether this team needs a few minor tweaks and we can chalk things up to injury, or whether this team needs a massive overhaul. Whether this project isn't as on the up and up as we thought. That's the next 29 games. And the way we're going to measure that success, the way we're going to measure whether the Magic accomplished their goals or not, is going to pretty much come down to one goal. And that is escaping the play. That is getting to the 6th seed. It is the only goal that matters the rest of the season. Climb to 5, great. I'm not dismissing that. I think it's very possible that the Magic can climb to 5 if they pull some things together. Toronto. I think Toronto has the toughest schedule of the 3 teams we're going to talk about today. But the only goal that matters right now is making up that game-and-a-half gap on Philadelphia. Making up that 3-game gap on Toronto. And doing their best and doing all they can to not have to go through the play-in tournament. I'm not here saying, oh, I'd rather play Boston or New York. I'm not saying that, or Detroit. I'm not saying that. I don't care about the playoff matchup. Because either the Magic are do well in the playoffs or they're not. And without home court advantage, with how good Cleveland's probably going to look, there's no favorable playoff matchup right now for the Magic. Right now, the Magic have to worry more about themselves than about the other teams. So I'm not even talking about, oh, I expect Philadelphia to slip and fall, or I expect Toronto to slip and fall. I'm not even saying that. This is about the Magic putting together the wins to climb the standings. Because that's something they haven't done in 2 months. The only goal that matters for the rest of the season is to get that 6th seed. Avoid the play-in and find some stability, because to get to the 6th seed is going to require a heck of a run to end the season. Again, we're not talking about the other teams. We'll talk a little bit about them, but we're not talking about the other teams. We're talking about what the Magic need to do to climb to the 6th seed. So what is the win total to project for the 6th seed? We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. That's coming up. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I'll be talking to you today about Indeed, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. And we want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. If you want to take your Locked On fandom to the next level, go check out our Everydayer Club. You can get Locked On Magic ad-free with the Everydayer Club, plus members-only Discord access. Join at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com. Or check out the notes. Check out the link in the show notes. Like I said, I'm not here to say the Sixers are about to trip and fall, or the Raptors are about to trip and fall, or the Cavs even might trip and fall. I'm not here rooting for the downfall of our opponents. The Magic being able to get to the 6th seed is purely about the Magic figuring themselves out. This is purely about the Magic taking the step or improving and stringing together wins and playing like the 50-win team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. These last 29 games are really about proving the Magic are who we thought they were, not who they are now. Sorry, Dennis Green. If your record says who you are, the Magic have proven themselves to be a talented but inconsistent team. So to get where they probably need to get, they're going to have to play like a 50-win team. They're going to have to play like they're the team that we thought they were going to be. They're down a game and a half on the Philadelphia 76ers, so they got to make up that time. They've lost the season series with Philadelphia, remember, so Orlando's got to make up ground there. The only saving grace is that if, just like 2 years ago, if the Magic, Sixers, and Raptors are at a 3-way tie, the Magic win that tiebreaker as the division champion. So keep that in mind. Orlando still has one more game against the Raptors in Toronto on March 29th. Humongous game. Mark your calendars. And a win there would give the Magic the tiebreaker. I would say that is a must-win game. Again, they trail the Cavs by 4 games. 4 games. They trail the Cavs for the 4 seed by 5 games or 4 games back in the loss column. That's going to be a heavy burn. But here's the thing. If you look at it for real, The Magic have games in hand on both the Raptors and the Sixers. Magic played only 53 games. They are a game back in the loss column of Philadelphia. They are 2 games in the loss column back of Toronto. And this is always a better way to think about things. Because essentially the Magic have either, however you want to look at it, the Magic have 2 extra opportunities for wins and 2 extra opportunities for losses than the Raptors at 55 games. So as Toronto loses games and if Toronto loses games, let's say, Orlando has 2 more opportunities to get wins and essentially tie them. Now, again, I'm not saying count those 2 extra games as wins. We will mark those games when they come and say, this is the game in hand. The Magic have their game in hand now. They're catching up to Toronto because everyone plays 82 at the end of the season. And Orlando has a very difficult March. They have 17 games in March. That is something that Jamal Mosley talked a little about. Orlando is going to catch up at some point. And we'll mark that. I mean, this is like going around the track. They got an inside lane, so they seem like they're ahead. But we're going to catch up at some point. The point is this. Again, I'm not interested in Toronto. I'm not interested in Philadelphia. I'm interested in Orlando. How many wins does Orlando need to get? Let's put it this way. The Sixers at a 556 win percentage are on pace to win 46 games. The Raptors with a 582 win percentage are on pace to win 48 games. I would say this. If the Magic can get to 47 wins, they will avoid the play-in. I am 100% certain of that. Because look, no one's going to keep up their pace. Like what we're asking the Magic to do is to pick up their pace. I am 100% certain that if the Magic get to 47 wins, that's 19-10 over their last 29 games, a pace of 54 wins for an 82-game season. If the Magic could go 19-10, they will avoid the play-in. I think 46 puts you in the ballpark. If the Magic could get to 46 wins, I think that puts them in the conversation. I don't know if that gets them there, but I think it'll be close. And if you get to 45 wins, it's a coin flip to probably not. So there's your target. Like I have given you a full-on target. Now, some of the projection systems aren't this optimistic. ESPN's Basketball Power Index currently has the 6th seed to be at 44 wins, still the Sixers. Magic at 43.6 wins, so even 44 wins might be close enough. So 45, I think, is the bare minimum. If you can get to 45 wins, you're gonna have a shot at this. And 45 wins again would be 17-12. That doesn't sound crazy. Again, Magic struggled, but that doesn't sound crazy. Currently, the Magic's 528 win percentage puts them at 43 wins. So we are asking them to step up. To get to 45 wins does mean they're going to have to improve. And again, 46 wins, 47 wins, I think gets the job done. Basketball Reference's playoff probability is less optimistic. It predicts the 6th seed to finish with 44 wins. But they also have the Magic at 8th with 42.7 wins. So they have the Magic falling all the way to 8th. I've seen some projections. CBS does have the Magic getting the 5 seed, sees them climbing. So who knows? It's on the Magic to get to this number. 46, 47 wins. 17 to 19 more wins will get the job done, in my opinion. Now, what's the schedule look like then? Well, and we'll talk a little about this, unlike the last 2 years when the Magic had these long homestands in March, and were able to kind of build some momentum in March and had these long stretches against really bad teams. Magic just had theirs, actually. The Magic do have more games on their schedule. And the Magic's opponents have a combined 497 win percentage. That's the 6th easiest schedule in the Eastern Conference by opponent win percentage. However, the Philadelphia 76ers are at 492, and the Miami Heat sneaking down there beneath the Magic in 8th. Are at 491. Schedules may be immaterial, but Orlando has 14 home games remaining. Philadelphia has 12, but Philadelphia can't win at home. They win a lot of their games on the road. And Miami has 14. So the Magic have a far better home record than both Miami and Philadelphia. They're 17-9 at the Kia Center. And so theoretically, Orlando should be able to take advantage of those 14 home games. Let's say they go 10-4. They still got Houston, they still got Oklahoma City coming to Orlando. They still got Minnesota coming to Orlando. Let's say they go 10-4. In fact, let me double check this with the. Let me double check something real fast. Let's say they go 10-4 at home. Again, among the home teams they have left, they got Detroit coming to Orlando twice. They've still got Oklahoma City coming to Orlando. They still got Houston coming to Orlando. They still got Cleveland coming to Orlando. They still got Los Angeles coming to Orlando. So 10-4 would be a pretty good home record to close the season. 27 home wins. That's 10 of the 17 wins that I said you needed. And you've got road games against Sacramento, a road game against New Orleans, a road game against Dallas, a road game against Milwaukee. There's 4 of the 7 that you need. Now, again, Milwaukee just beat Orlando. I'm not going to say any of those are guaranteed wins. But even though Orlando doesn't control its own destiny, and so another way to look at it. So the Magic have advantages at home. And again, 10-4 at home would be a great run. Make up the difference on the road, as always. How you handle the tanking teams. Brooklyn, and these are my 6 tanking teams. Brooklyn, Indiana, Washington, Dallas, Utah, New Orleans. The Magic still have 8 games against the 6 tanking teams I just mentioned, including 4 against Sacramento and Dallas. The Sixers also have 8. The Heat only have 6. The Raptors have 7 of those games and a .504 remaining win percentage. Toronto actually has the toughest schedule of the teams fighting for the 6th seed, fighting to avoid the play-in. So keep an eye on Toronto for a little bit. Orlando does not control its own destiny. Let me make that clear. They don't have a bunch of games against these opponents. They have one more game against Miami. Huge game. That'll be a Saturday night in Miami. Hit the bright line with me. Come down and say hi. They have one game against Miami still. They still got games against Chicago and Atlanta. I don't include them in the taking teams, but Atlanta and Chicago are sinking fast. The Magic have to find ways to scratch out wins. They don't control their own destiny. But if the Magic duck their head and win games, they will climb. That's been the only difference, is the Magic haven't been able to string together a really good stretch. And that is going to be the ultimate test and the ultimate question. Because the last 2 years, the Magic have built their record and built their success after the All-Star break. Is that a trend that will continue? We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in, because we all know the Magic are a championship team, right? Right? It's just about unlocking it. And now there's no better time but the present. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds the extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. There's been a trend throughout Jamal Mosley's tenure that the Orlando Magic played better after the All-Star break. And honestly, this is going to be the test. I know I get this, there's a few people, I hear about it from a lot of people. There's a lot of people who feel like it's time to move on from coaches. And again, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm not going to tell you no on that. It might be time. It very well might be time for the Magic to change coaches. They might need a new voice. But ultimately, one thing that I've always respected Jamal Mosley for, one thing that I think he's always done right, is he always has a vision for the big picture. He always sees the forest for the trees. Now, sometimes you need to focus on the trees. I'm not, again, there's a balance there. But he's always had this vision of we're going to play our best in March and April. And no matter which season you're talking about, whether it was the early rebuild seasons, whether it's the playoff teams, whether it's now, his teams have always done that. His teams have always strung together wins in March and in April and at the end of the season. And when their backs were against the wall, they've come up with big wins. You can think about it. After the All-Star break in 2024, the Magic were 7th. The idea of fighting for home court advantage was crazy. Nobody thought the Magic could get the 5 seed in 2024. I remember I said the Magic need to go 19-10. After the All-Star break in 2024, the Magic went 17-10. They had the best defense in the league after the All-Star break and were 19th in offensive rating. That's how they got to 47 wins, 47-35. They were 30-25 at the break. Only one game better than the Magic are now. The Magic had 29 wins at game 53 last year. They have 28 this year. They're 29-24 through 53 games. It's only one more win than they have right now. So we've seen this team, especially now that they're healthy, capable of making that kind of run. Capable of getting off to this hot start and pushing their way up the standings. Even last year, the Orlando Magic had a better record after the All-Star break. They went 14-12 after the All-Star break last year. They finished 41-41, so technically that is better than their overall season record. Now, granted, they went 1-6. They lost 6 of their first 8 games out of the All-Star break. They went 1-6 out of critical 7-game homestand, and they had to rally going 12-8 over the last 20 games. 12-6 over the last 18 games to just earn the 7 seed. But this is a consistent pattern. Again, it happened with the rebuild teams too, to smaller degrees. The Magic always outperform their full season record after the All-Star break. And again, if they do that at any base level, they're going to get close. They'll get to 45 wins. They'll get close to what they're going to need to be the 6th seed. So this race is not over. However, it is important to note that there are differences. First, the Magic are healthy now. There are no excuses. There are no excuses for the Magic to play as poorly as they played and as inconsistently as they played. Yes, Franz may need this road trip back in the starting lineup, and I do anticipate he'll start on Thursday. Franz may need this road trip to kind of get himself back in shape. He may need this road trip to kind of push himself back into the mix. But the other thing is, this team does not nearly have the defensive consistency that they had those last 2 years. Last 2 years, they were top 5 in league in defense. This year, they're in the middle of the field. They're above water now, I think. But they're struggling on defense. And while the offense is a little better, and in some ways significantly better, if not consistent, and while this offense is better, the Magic haven't been able to put all the pieces together through 53 games. And so there's none of this is happening without the Magic doing that. And so if you're doubtful the Magic can reach 45 wins, that's fair because they haven't told us that they could do it all season long. They haven't had, except for that run in November when they went to the Cup, they haven't had an extended run of, we're winning a lot of basketball games. It's been mostly puttering around 500. The Magic are going to have to build a win streak at some point. They're going to have to build another 3-game win streak, another 4-game win streak, another 4 out of 6, or 5 of 10, 5 of 7. They got to string wins together, and that's been the difficult part of the season. On top of that, the last 2 years, Orlando benefited from a pretty home-heavy schedule toward the end of the season. And look, Orlando does have a home-heavy schedule. They've got as many home games as any team left in the Eastern Conference. I think only Atlanta has more. And they're very good at home. Don't get it wrong. Like Jalen Suggs' home road splits are crazy. But unlike the last few years, Orlando does not have extended homestands. In fact, the Magic open after the All-Star break with a 4-game road trip: Sacramento, Phoenix, LA, the Clippers, and the Lakers. Feels fairly manageable, but Sacramento's the only team that's not in the playoffs among those teams. Phoenix is a crazy good defensive team. That's going to be a challenge. The Clippers are playing a lot better, depending on if Kawhi plays or not. And the Lakers are the Lakers. You got to deal with their star power. Then the Magic come home to play Houston, Detroit, Washington, and Dallas. That Washington-Dallas game is actually only one of 2 times this season that the Magic will play teams with losing records or tanking teams in consecutive games over the last 2 months of the season. They play they play Washington, Dallas on March 3rd and 5th. And then they'll play at Dallas, at New Orleans on April 3rd and 5th. And Atlanta, they play Atlanta before that at home, so there's 3 in a row right there. Again, I don't consider Atlanta a tanking team quite yet. Houston, Detroit, Washington, Dallas is not an easy homestand. But then for the rest of the season on, it's 2 games at home, 2 games on the road, essentially the rest of the way. Now, there's some 1-game homestands. There's a couple 1-game road trips here and there, especially in late March. And so it is a very home-heavy March in that respect. But Orlando has a lot. And then you get to their closing kick. Their closing kick to the season is really tough. April 6th through 12th, the last 4 games of the season. Home versus Detroit. Home versus Minnesota. Minnesota's probably going to be playing for something. At Chicago. Chicago is feeling like they're tanking. And then at Boston to close the season. And Boston may be playing for something in that last game. That last game might actually matter. We'll find out. So, to say the least, the Magic don't have this easy path home quite like they have the last few years. Like I said, it's manageable. It's not like, oh, you're playing 3 games against Detroit. You got 2 games against Detroit. You still got a game against Oklahoma City. You still got some good teams. You don't have the Knicks, who are figuring some stuff out. You get Boston on the last day of the season. Who knows? But you don't have this kind of crazy stretch. But at the same time, you don't have anything that's easy. The Magic, as I've said all episode long, are going to have to earn this. They're going to have to play well. They don't get a lot of nights off. They don't get a lot of nights where they can make mistakes. They've got to figure themselves out. And they got to start doing that on the road in a very tough road trip. Like, honestly, Sacramento's lost 14 in a row. I don't want to play Sacramento coming out of the break. Like that, anything can happen after the break. I'd rather have Sacramento on a random Tuesday than right after the break. Anything can happen after the break. But at the end of the day, this is about resolve. It's about the Magic. We know how good this team can be. We've seen how good this team can be in very short stretches. And for Jabal Mosley, it's about unlocking them one more time. It's about finding their way out of this hole. The Magic have always been better after the break. And if they want to achieve the last goal remaining this season, they're going to have to play well. So again, it's not about Philadelphia. It's not about Toronto. Go listen to Locked On Sixers. Go listen to Locked On Raptors. I don't know what's going on with them. It's about the Magic. And if the Magic can take care of their business, they can accomplish their goal and get out of the play-in and be the 6th seed. As small as that is. Again, I want to recognize how small that is. And that's not something to celebrate, but it's what we've got to play for now. So let's play for it. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the places on the podcast to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily and For even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. We want to thank you again. And if that doesn't do it for you, you can also check out our Everydayer Club, get an ad-free audio feed of this podcast, plus access to the Locked On Discord server. Take your fandom to the next level with the Locked On Everydayer Club. Thank you again, as always, for your support. For those of you on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about. It's still very much all-star break for me. But we'll be back tomorrow with more Orlando Magic discussions and talk. We'll get to that then. Until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.